So let's talk land.
You guys want to hear about land? You want to talk about land? You want to maybe see some land?
Yes.
All right, so we have been trying to figure out how to do the user experience for land phase 1, and we've gone in and out with ideas and concepts. The main idea though was we wanted to make it intuitive, we wanted to make it user friendly, we wanted to make it engaging. And so our UX designer, I tasked Roy, our UX designer, with trying to figure out some low fidelity mock-ups and how it would work, and we went through user journeys and flow charts and stuff, and eventually we ended up passing the baton over to Kai, who was our UI designer for the project. Thank you, Kai. What we're going to do is we'll watch a quick video that kind of outlines some of what Roy and Kai did to kind of prepare for phase 1. We're not showing you everything, but we figured, hey, we're obligated to give you guys a taste, right? So you guys will be the first to lay eyes on this. What do you guys think?
Oh.
Pretty cool, right?
So, it's going to be a lot more involved than that. Those were, if you can believe it, that was our first pass. So it's only going to get better from there. And then we can take a look at not only the screens that showed your assets and how you own them. You'll notice that those are land. Are we at the market? Is this the market?
This is the market.
Oh, perfect. So, I won't take all the limelight here. Kai, how was it feeling to kind of work on something that had this many layers and was so in-depth? Because I know when you got on, it was like you probably thought, hey, I just got to make some UI for a simple card game, and then we throw this in your lap, and you're like, oh my gosh. Like, what are you guys thinking? There's so much here.
That was amazing. Basically, the approach was we did a lot of, epic questing in terms of like, what do we want it to look like, feel like, what is the audience that we're going for, what kind of audience can we attract, and so we would start to, I would throw ideas in, and Roy would come back with sort of counter ideas, and we always managed to come to the center, and so and also Harry does amazing icons and stuff, so.
And Harry's actually here today. He was on camp earlier. Please give a round of applause for Harry.
Yes.
He's been pivotal in this whole thing.
But I really think the core of it is just having an incredibly supportive team. Nate gives really great feedback, and so between Nate and Tyler and Jody and Roy and Harry, we all get to, despite the fact that we work remotely, the communication is incredible. Everybody's like spot on. Everybody works really hard. So yeah, it's an awesome journey. And I've only been here for 6 months, I think, and it's spectacular experience.
Awesome. And Kai is so extremely talented.
With AAA gaming.
Awesome. So, we're making sure that we only bring on rock stars. I have very high standards when it comes to design and UI specifically. So if you see us hiring a UX or UI designer, that means they reach the highest pinnacle of standards that I could possibly come up with, because
What do you guys think?
For this
Let me know.
I can't do less than, and Kai definitely fits the bill. So as you would have noticed if you've been looking at the screenshots, I'm a pain in the butt. Like I said, look, I don't want just a map view. I want a grid view. I don't just want a grid view. I want a list view. I want to see everything in every possible way that the player might want to look at their assets. Because you got people who own maybe 1 or 2 plots. You got other people who own like maybe over 1,000 plots. How are these free? Yeah, how do we make that intuitive, navigate? And what's cool is you guys might have
Doing the best I
already
can, guys.
that the landscapes are completely different than we shared before. The concept art with that Shino XL did for us is amazing. And I've shared that over town halls over the past year or two. When we look to change our art style for not just for the characters, but for everything, we said, well, it doesn't quite jive as much as we would like it to. What can we do to make the background artwork for all these landscapes and geography types and all the rest match so that it's perfectly seamless, not just perfectly seamless, but conducive to an optimal storytelling experience. So that's what we try to do. And you'll notice also that not only did we change the landscapes, we changed the NFTs themselves. So any cards that I might have shared in a previous town hall, just throw them out the window, because I think that what we try to do instead is look at them less like cards and more like deeds. They don't need to be cards. These are deeds that you own. And what would a deed look like? Well, let's go ahead and emphasize the land, right? And that would be probably best done in a landscape view. So you'll notice that each card really represents, you see that little banner, which is the rarity type. You see, a little icon to represent the geography type. You see some coordinates that basically mean, I don't know if that's what we're going to end up with, but the coordinates show that it's the Praetoria continent. Next few characters is the territory, of which there are 7 territories in Praetoria, if you didn't know that. Then it goes into what region, what tract, and finally what plot within that tract. So there's all kinds of cool information that you can glean from just looking at the why am I calling it coordinates? You got a region, which we're hoping that, maybe the players themselves will be able to name. And you got all the building options. So in phase 1, you'll hopefully be able to see a lot of this information as you open up and redeem your tokens to see what you got and when you got it and where you got it. You might have noticed as well that there were screens shown previously that kind of go into the regions and plots. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So before we move on, part of the evolution of those cards was our original cards are very heavily designed with a lot of flourishes, a lot of things that are fantasy sort of inspired, and sort of my approach with design in general is less is more. So it was a good balancing process between me and other members of the creative team, where we both came up with different ideas of like, how do we do the frames on this? And I was like, oh, can we pare it down but still have the same aesthetic of, it feels like fantasy, but it's really minimalist and more focused on both the characters in the cards, as much space as possible for the characters, and also for the land, because we want to see the land, right? That's the whole cheese of this.
It was really interesting because in a lot of the brainstorming sessions, we kind of split paths a little bit between the character cards and the land cards and the deeds, and sets and layouts for the deed plots, and they were so good that it actually changed our trajectory for how we were handling the character cards. Because we were like, we got to take elements of this and make it synergistic and cohesive, but there's so much to be said about like the minimal modern design, like I said, less is more. And I think that it worked really well for the character cards. You guys would agree with that, right? You guys like Rebellion card frame? We're seeing that same sort of treatment here with the land cards, and it really shows just kind of what direction that we're going in moving forward.
No, absolutely. And it's funny because my wife and I recently purchased a house in Florida, and my wife was every day she was going through, what is it, Zillow? Is it Zillow that we were really using? There's all these websites to look at real estate. And it's funny because that's essentially what you're doing, right? You're buying digital real estate in Praetoria. So when you look at the regions and plots and the navigation and how we try to mimic that experience, so that when you're looking at, maybe the detail screen, and you're looking at all these different factors and variables involved with trying to figure out where you want to live in Praetoria, we try to give you as much information as possible. And some of that information might be, well, what did the community name the region? If it says the goober psychopaths, then you might question whether you want to live there. Maybe there's a purge going on there. I don't know. But what have you got? Got an example here? Highwind celibate. Okay. maybe that's those guys, take care of their stuff. Maybe they, clean the sidewalks now and then. We want to share some information there about, well, what kind of resources are most mined in that area. Maybe we show what kind of things have been unlocked, because, we're exploring all kinds of cool ideas. None of them are finalized, but things that we'd like to do, like unlock, the ability for people in a track to unlock better irrigation, or maybe to vote on whether they want to set up walls to defend their plots from, outside wilderness animals and creatures and whatnot. So there's all these things that we're talking about, might happen, might not happen, but ultimately, the output of that. Like, if this particular tract has a better irrigation system, then I probably want to live there, because I might unlock bonuses to harvest more resources there. And so then you get into kingdom land, where you got the castles and keeps, and what does that mean? And we're still figuring some of that stuff out. But we want, as much as possible, to allow for that to be communicated in the UI. So when Kai was designing a lot of this, I'm sure she was thinking, well, Nate, how is this going to work? And I'm like, well, we're figuring it out. But it's almost, we're getting the information, and this is how far we're at so far, but it's getting pretty close. You'll notice some of the sorting and filtering options. You'll notice that lots of, like right here, if I click on common, it'll show me the common lands, and it'll show me, right there the quantities as you're navigating through the screen. Is there anything else that you'd like to speak to, Kai, on any of this stuff?
It's been through a lot of transitions and a lot of variations in terms of like the hierarchy, like what things are the most important that we want people to focus on first when they first look at it. How much space do we want to allocate to the map versus the the box next to it, or in the other screen, how much space do we want to allocate to the information panel on the right side. So it's still a work in progress.
I can't wait to show you guys, I mean, not today, but as we go into the building and we get into the slots and the workers and the artifact slot to put your totem and all that stuff. I mean, that's going to be cool stuff, and it has nothing to do with phase one. Phase one's what's in front of us right now, but I think that so far we made a lot of good progress to make phase one a reality, and it's probably sooner than a lot of you think. I know you guys got tired of saying Winland for the last 2 years. Well, I hope you can see that it is coming very soon. So,
I think the new phrase is land soon. Land soon?
Yeah, land soon. Let's change it from Winland to land soon.
Land soon.
Yeah, Vonak.
Vodak! For watching. Here's a couple of videos for you to check out, and of course,
hit that like button and that subscribe button right next to it.
we appreciate you all.
We're having a good time.